Hey, welcome back again to Auto Transport Intel. Thank you for joining me again on a Tuesday night. My name is Jay. I'm the car hauling dispatcher, and this is Tuesday Nights Live. And you are cool. You're coming in the live chat. Welcome back to the show, Dave and Jesse. Welcome back to the show. Ray Money, first time live. All right, man. Cool. That's right. Thanks for joining the show. I do appreciate it. I really do. And Patrick, welcome back to the show. Hey, Mike. All right. Thanks for joining the chat. Mike is back again for part 2 of Dispatcher Training Live. So that's what this show is. 2 weeks ago, we did part 1. It was about 2 hours. I expect it could be about the same tonight. And why am I doing Dispatcher Training Live? Well, I am a car hauling dispatcher, and I've just over the years developed a lot of techniques. They're not my own. I mean, there's many good dispatchers doing many great things, but I've trained dispatchers, and I figured it was time to try and put it into a formal learning compartment, and that's what this is. So I figured this is the best way to record it and do it. So we're going to just do it live. So welcome back, the one and only. I know, it's already Tuesday, right? It's crazy. And Jordan, awesome. You're in the snowstorm. Oh, here we go. We got New Age Trucker. Look at that. How I got into trucking route, in my opinion, is best for trucking school. So, yeah, I check out New Age Trucker. Leave him there for a little promo bit. Juan, welcome to the show. All right. So yeah, we're gonna do part 2, and yeah, thank you, Patrick. I appreciate every like I get. You know, if you comment, that actually is you could send me an email, please do it. But if you've got a comment about the show, leave it below in the comments. I reply to every comment. I really appreciate those, and I think it helps the other viewers that come in with questions or interaction. And yeah, Frank, welcome to the show. All right, first time. And Marius, welcome to the show. And so, yeah, I appreciate every like I get, and it really helps with the YouTube rankings, and hopefully this show is here to stay. That's my goal. So, one never knows what will happen. Does one. And only. All right, so I need to get into Facebook news, because soon after that, we're going to talk to Dave about CarMax appointments and how fun those are, and then we're going to get into dispatcher training. It's going to be a long night, so go ahead and get yourself your Kool-Aid. Mine is ELD Kool-Aid, because ELDs make me crazy. That's why I've got ELD Skull over here. If you haven't seen that video, you can actually check out ELD Skull. The FMCSA mandate is like a skull, an ELD device in your skull, something like that. Okay, Facebook news. Let's do this thing. Okay, pull that up here. Okay, and just thank you, New Age Trucker. And here we go. Okay, so by the way, yeah, if you didn't know, and you do know, because who's in the snowstorm? Jordan. You're here live in the snowstorm. Okay, well, it's all over the place. By the way, I always recommend check out the Facebook groups. There's great stuff in the Facebook groups, and it's a good overlap for YouTube and other social media. But yeah, the Penn DOT update, if you don't know, basically as of midnight, you're going to have to get off the road. If you are, right, it seems like it's basically all trucks. And I don't know why you'd want to be on the road in a car. Basically, get off the road, right? And they're gonna make you get off the road for the nor'easter and the storm and the whatnot. So feel free to provide, if you've got real-time updates or mile markers or whatever. This show is mine and yours. Hopefully we feel that. So I really do. I believe in that. I love it when people chat and converse with each other during the show. That's great. And welcome back, Hotshot Dave. Awesome. And New York is next. Yeah, man. So be safe out there. Be very safe out there. Take your ELD break. Speaking of, this was at the Mannheim, PA today, which is interesting. You see the green grass, and you see the car on its side. So don't do that, right? This is all from Facebook. None of this is my own stuff. I see it on Facebook. I think it's interesting. It's not too bad yet. Some flurries on 287. Okay, good to know. Thank you. Meanwhile, in the Arizona desert, you see that kind of corpse. And there's the cars on it, and it's almost like you can see the violinist from the Titanic. Did I do that? Woke up and did my walk around and noticed the blacktop was a little stressed. You think? Huh. How does that happen? That's weird. Is he really heavy? Is it really hot and the asphalt's soft? I don't know. Well, by the way, I don't cuss on the show because YouTube has these crazy censorship algorithms that I'm trying to avoid. I'm trying to stay on the air. Bad day car hauling right there. Yeah, JC Smith. All right. Thanks for the comment. Crash up. Yeah, man. Raining in DC and Baltimore. It is a crash. It is a that Arizona picture is crazy. Let's see what we got here. Oh, here's some Texas freeway damage for you. So that's nice. Yeah, that's gonna be, and that's nothing compared to Arizona desert. This one's weird. I currently work at a metal fabrication shop in the shipping department. I've been getting insight from local drivers on hotshot before I start accompanying myself. So my question is this legal? Dude, no. That can't be good. You don't want to show up at a DOT inspection with that. Man, they will haul you out of the truck and check your ELD. See, I'm always picking on ELD. Where's Waldo? Oh, there he is. That's good. So, yeah. I suppose that's why you're supposed to pay at the pump. This is interesting. This was from the Indiana State Police. Remember to use only correct parts to fix airlines. Fittings must say DOT on them. Have a safe violation-free day. Have you seen the Indiana State Police on Facebook? It's pretty interesting. So, okay. So I dropped most of my load in Hempstead. Anyways, long story short, need a new turbo, which as a dispatcher, and that's why I'm showing some of this too, is that not only is this the, the fun part of the show, if you can call it that, but this stuff is good for dispatchers to see and know and learn, because you could sit at a desk all day, be on the phone, booking cars, this and that, and whether you're a broker or a dispatcher or a customer, you don't realize all the parts and crud that the drivers go through. So, I mean, you guys do, because you guys are car haulers. Most of my audience is car haulers. But, yeah, man, I feel you. First day with my assigned truck after being in the shop for over 80 days. Now this. Gotten it back a few times in between, and each time not even halfway through the night it breaks down. Really wish they could figure this out and keep it out of the shop. Dude, is it different every time? That looks bad. That just looks bad. Officer Huber, yeah. Hey, Alan. All right, welcome to the show, man. Cool. If these are the only units you have, how would you load this? Because one would assume that you wouldn't do it like that, right? You got all that empty space. You got your axles and your, come on guys, help me out here. It's, oh man, I just thought of Fletch. In Fletch. Oh, come on guys, it's all done with ball bearings these days. Oh, I'm just checking the luggage. Downtown Miami. Picking up the personals, no more giving money away to leased-on companies. Yeah, you got to see this. This guy's upset. No more lying about prices. No more treating us like a joke. We're hardworking, spend most of our lives out on the roads, missing out on everything back home to try and earn a decent living. Bet it feels good when you're in their warm offices trying to find a way to mess you over while you're in 15 below weather getting ripped Funny thing is, not all companies are like that, but hey, it only takes one bad apple to spoil the rest. These big companies have to start being leaders, not followers, to what every other big company is doing in the industry. Man, now there's a riot act that I could print that out and just every time I get lied to while I'm trying to book a load, just read them the riot act, right? That's what this is. This guy is tired of it. So we're also going to talk about some of that tonight. ELD, my reefer is down, full of meat, road service, nowhere to be found. I can't move because of ELD. Yeah, awesome. Thank you, ELD. Thank you. Thank you for making me stop and making all my meat go rotten in Jacksonboro, South Carolina. Gee, I wonder why you got E. coli. ELD. ELD coli. Is it true that most scales won't send officers to chase you if you don't stop at them? I don't know. Does it be like Smokey and the Bandit, I'm assuming. I don't know. What's up, Days of Bliss? James Coffey's here. Hello. Welcome, James. I don't know. Do they chase you? I really think it's time for the trucking industry to raise wages. We've been stuck on $1,000 a week since the 80s. Well, the teachers just got a 5% raise. Would that be enough? 5% raise? Man, I don't know. I don't know, man. So let me get this straight. You have to have active commercial insurance a month before the FMCSA will give you an authority. So basically $1,000 down the tubes. Yep. Yeah, that is hard to believe when you first hear that. It sounds like a joke. A cruel trick. Anyone know what ELD is cheap and works with an F-350? That actually, please put it in the chat. Hey, Nadia, welcome back to the show. All right. Yeah. You know, I mean, what is the answer? That seems to be one of the hardest answers. Now, I watched a Fleet Up ELD webinar today. And if they catch you, and I mean, there's some awesome ELD solutions out there. But what about the dualies? That seems to be a bit of a blind spot. So I don't know. I still don't know the answer to that. What's the best way to keep track of my IFTA mileage, GPS, iPad? What are my best options? What's the answer, James? Keep Trucking. You can do it with Keep Trucking, and then your fuel card actually helps too, right? So Rockstar Burgers. I don't know, but that sounds good. I'm in. I'm going to. Let's all go to Rockstar Burgers. Where is it? That sounds really good. Love a burger right now. In search of a driver around Arkansas or Mississippi. So there's a Daryl Green. There you go. You can send him a message. Join that's the Hot Shots and Car Haulers Facebook group. If you're in the area, here's another guy, Brandon, looking for a company driver in North Georgia. You got a phone number there? Do it. Send it. Looking for a car carrier dispatcher in the USA. Now, I don't remember where I got this, to be honest, but you can put this if you're a dispatcher looking for work or a driver looking for a dispatcher. Man, put it in Facebook. Facebook is great for advertising. This is a great ad. $15,000 caught my eye. Anyone need a dispatch? That is a great ad. That showed up in my sponsored ads. So, I mean, that's a freight company, but that's a great ad. Hey, something for you guys to think about. Picking up cars for $150, driving 300 miles, taking cars locally, $50 a piece. I just called the tow truck to get a quote for 42 miles and they wanted $375. My question is, why are you guys hauling it so cheap? Man, that is a great point. You know the tow truck driver would never take some of these rates on Central Dispatch, right? No way. And you've got 1 hour a week to schedule your appointment to pick up the car. That's yeah. It's a bit warranted. So 50 cents a mile. Good luck, broker. What is this? He's got an $800 load going 1,500 miles. And he has demands. Air ride, tarps, over 7 foot tall. But it's still only 50 cents. Come on, man. It's still only 50 cents. And you talk about your ELD and your specialties and in one ear and out the other, man. I did not hear what you said. I'm sorry. You lost me at what was that E word you said? I don't know what you're talking about. Anyways, do you want this load or not? Because I got to go, man. Oh, here, 26 cents a mile. People are noticing, man. People are noticing. And this is for the dispatchers, right? Don't book a 26-cent a mile load. The driver is telling you, do not even look at that thing. Don't do it, man. Here's another one. Oh my gosh, what do we got here? Oh man, can you see that? 14 cents a mile? 14 cents a mile. El Paso to Newark for $300. And it's a Copart. Oh joy! You want to know what a Copart car looks like? Look at this. Here's a Copart car. I called on this week. Oh man. Don't book that. Don't do it, man. Oh my gosh. I think it's missing the side door. I don't know if the back door closes. The airbags were deployed, so you know it's a beaut. There's your front end. Good luck keeping the parts in down the road. Oh yeah. That's nice. Yeah. So, okay. So that's maybe the quality of a 14. Wow. Come on, man. Really? You're fired. All right. And then here's a text. Oh, that's 65 cents a mile, not almost $1. I'm the guy with the truck and the trailer. That's who I am. Like I said, I appreciate you being attentive. Anyways, it was a string on a text, but the guy, I think the broker said, hey, it pays almost $1 a mile. No, it's 65 cents a mile. Not sweet old lady, not do me a favor. We're going to be talking about that tonight. Don't be doing favors. That is a different industry. Not car hauling is not about, listen, you can be cool and you can help each other, but when it comes to business, moving a car is the business. And you got plenty of expenses, and I've just shown about 1,000,000 ways it can go wrong. All right. So here's what Dave says, and we're going to call Dave here in a second. He dropped off his CarMax load, but I think I've had enough of CarMax, he says. Make an appointment. So in Nashville, he picked up the cars. Inventory manager was rude. She asked with a smart attitude, you got an appointment? And he replied, yes, ma'am. I said, well, what time is it? She said, what time is it? And he said, 2 p.m. And it's 1:59 on the clock, literally. And she said, well, we're busy. It's going to be a little while. I'll get somebody to help you as soon as I can. And then in Jackson, his appointment was at 1:30 to deliver. He showed up at 1:30, unloaded his cars, and went looking for someone to check him in. And I guess it's just a thing. If you work for CarMax, you're better than everybody else. But that's how he felt. I mean, you know how you feel that way at times when everyone around you is just, for some reason, acting like they're better than you? You guys know. This is car hauling. Hashtag. When I finally got directed to the inventory building about 2 o'clock, the young lady asked me if she could help me. I replied, sure, I have 3 cars from Nashville for you. Her first question was, you got an appointment? An appointment. This is car hauling. What do you mean appointment? It's not. I'm not visiting the dentist. I just drove 1,000 miles. I said, yes, ma'am. She said, well, we're busy. Okay, well, all 12 of them are standing around looking at their phones, and I'm going to share something with you. I got $150,000 tied up in this car hauling rig, and I'm not some wash boy. So let's talk to Dave. Let's see what we got here. Okay, craziness. And it wants. Oh yeah, we can show that. Hey, man. I'm about to hit the siren.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, Dave?
Hey, Jay, how are you, buddy?
Hey, man, good. I was just, well, you could probably see it on the screen. You sent me an email, and I pulled it out of the email, and there it is, man. So what happened to CarMax?
Which place, Nashville or Jackson?
Yeah, exactly. Isn't and that's the funny thing is that you got it at both ends, right?
Yeah, I wasn't impressed. I'm about through with CarMax, actually, because I don't need to be, disrespected to bring you, loads. It's just unnecessary.
Well, and it seems to stem from this concept that I mean, this is a new idea at CarMax that you need an appointment. I hadn't heard of that before, like last week or the week before, right?
Yeah, I can understand the pickup appointment, so they can pull the cars out somewhat, which
Okay.
they don't. But the delivery appointment is uncalled for because you got traffic, you got weather, you've got mileage, you've got bathroom breaks. I mean, it's hard to make an appointment when you got to drive 500, 600 miles.
Well, yeah, that's nearly impossible. I mean, we don't make delivery appointments at places. We try to plan ahead and call and communicate. But I mean, a delivery appointment, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, and I can understand the concept, but with car hauling, unfortunately, it don't work because there's too many variables. You might have to use the bathroom for God's sake, or you might get stuck in Memphis traffic, or an accident, or anything. Your EOD may break down. Who knows? But even if that is true, you still don't have to be rude. You can be courteous and receptive to people. You don't have to be rude to them. But anyhow, in Jackson, I got there and the lady, I finally found the little building, and I went in there and they was like ignoring me. She said they were busy, and I finally lost my cool. I said, "Look, are you going to check my cars in or not?" She said, "Sir, I told you we were busy." I said, "Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going out here to put my truck together, and if nobody comes out before I get my truck together, then I'm leaving, and you can have your cars." And the boy stopped me just after I went out the door to come out and help me. He informed me that they changed their process, and what he was going to do is take one car back to this little building about a quarter mile away, check it in, and then walk back and get the other one. And I stopped him. I said, "No, let me email my boss and tell her your intentions." And then he changed his mind and said, "Well, I'll tell you what, I'll just check them all in now and let you go." I'm like, "Well, thank you." But I ended up losing my cool.
Well, I mean, I don't blame you, and I still think that expecting a delivery appointment. No, I'm not going to get on board with that. There's a lot of things that I'm always going to find irritating. And as far like these cheap loads, we all can agree they shouldn't be that cheap. I think we can all agree you shouldn't expect a delivery appointment. There are way too many. Look, I'm getting upset. I got to drink my Kool-Aid. There's way too many things that can go wrong. We can't plan all that. What if the DOT pops out from behind a bush 10 minutes before you get there?
Oh yeah, I got an inspection on the way to
Come
Jackson.
on.
That was uncalculated.
Yeah, I
And,
mean,
and let me ask you this: let's say you miss your appointment. What happens next?
right. Yo, that's actually one of my favorite things to say when I get it's residents shipping residential customers. They ask you some of the stuff you didn't see coming, like, well, I've got the wall replacement guys here at 2:30, so you need to get here between 3 and my hair appointment at 4. And it's like, okay, well, I don't know. I don't know what to say. And she'd be like, well, are you going to make it or not? And I say, well, what happens if we don't? Like you just, well, what happens if I don't make my appointment? I mean, does the sky fall? What exactly does happen?
I don't know. Maybe they reset your appointment for the next day at the same time.
Yeah, there's a great idea. This is this is
I'll
actually
take them back to Nashville and drive them off and go home.
this is what I say to the repo lots that need a 24 advance notice, but I just booked it, man. I mean, you just answered the phone, so it's not like I'm catching you completely off guard. You're at the business location, and we're not going to be there for 5 hours. Isn't that kind of good enough? I mean, I realize there's other logistics I don't know about. I mean, you've got to pull a guy off the road, and that's gonna cut into towing people that are just stopped for 5 minutes to run in and grab their pizza. I mean, you definitely have to tow those people. I get that. But, the logistics run into other logistics all over the place. So again, requiring this delivery appointment, that makes no sense. Aren't you just making us all crazy?
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing.
You think I was there, because I'm all hot under the collar.
Yeah, well, if they were truly busy, it would be different. I understand being busy,
Absolutely.
But when you're not busy and you're telling somebody, well, it'll be a while because we're busy, and you're all standing around looking at your telephone, that is irritating to me because I can't even look at my phone when I'm working.
And you know what? We all know what that looks like. So when you describe that, I'm like, I guarantee there's truth to that, because we know what it looks like to see a bunch of people standing around staring at their phone. I believe all of this. I believe that somebody, whoever, told CarMax, make sure the car haulers have an appointment. Everybody got pretty excited because now they got a power trip they can throw around. It's not necessary. I mean, of course there's going to be times. But I called ahead to that CarMax Nashville before you ever called them. And they were like, yeah, man, easy peasy, whatever. It's all good. So
Yeah, she was extremely rude.
Yeah, I didn't talk to her.
The girl that Nashville was.
Yeah, I don't know who that is. I talked to a guy in inventory, and he was like, yeah, you're good, man. Why are we even his attitude was like, why are we even doing this? I got a phone to look at.
Right. Well, the Nashville store was the same way. I followed her back into a little PDI place there, and I guarantee you there was 12 of them standing around looking at their telephone. Every single one of them was checking their status.
I believe it. Believe it.
I'm kind of an intimidating fella, and I'm like, look, I need to go. And then she signed somebody to me, but if I wouldn't have been there at 2 o'clock, there's no telling what would have happened.
Oh, man. And again, you are... I know you, man, and this is, somebody asked, is this Dave with the Wally Mo trailer? Yes, it is. Dave is 100% grade A, good guy. So you've got to be pretty irritating to get your goat, I have to say. I mean, so I just, that's why I wanted to have you on the air, tell your story, and, it takes a village.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on. So,
Sure.
Hopefully you can stick around for the next 2 hours of live dispatching snooze fest.
I'll be there, brother.
Okay, man. Thanks for coming on, dude.
You're doing a good job. See
Thank you very much. All right, see ya. All right, cool. So we're gonna call Mike here in a second. Get into the dispatcher training. It is 8:30, so I'd say we're somewhat on time. We're somewhat on appointment. Do you have an appointment to deliver your cars at a certain time tomorrow? Are you going to make it? You got a nor'easter. Is that going to be enough? Is your ELD dictating your life? I don't know, man. But I do know that it is time to get into Dispatcher Training Live Part 2. So... what do you guys think? Is that crazy? Somebody's going to say it's wonderful. Somebody's going to say it's crazy. It's interesting how you will always meet people that see either or both sides of the point of view. But I'd love to hear from somebody at CarMax and explain why this happened, and also maybe say, you're right. Maybe we've given too much power to the people. I don't know. Yeah, take a picture of him next time. Oh man, social media. Like I think a guy went live on Facebook today. He was in with a used car dealer, and he felt like he was getting scammed, so he went live on Facebook. Now, he didn't show anybody. He just had the phone behind the desk. I think that's what he did. Crazy stuff. All right, let's get Mike on the phone here. Jeez. Okay. Woo! Dispatcher Training Live Part 2. Oh, snooze fest. Nah, it actually gets pretty interesting, I think. Hey, what's up?
How's it going?
How you doing, Mike? Thanks for coming back for another painful 2-hour session.
No, that's fine.
Oh man! All right, so let's just jump into it. I've already kind of teased the intro, I suppose, and we just heard from Dave. Did you hear the story about Dave at CarMax?
I did, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, did you catch what the drift was there? That basically, as a dispatcher, now not only do we have to find cars, but we have to help drivers like pinpoint, like a flea on a pinhead, an exact time that they're going to be at a location.
Right.
Can you believe that?
Yeah, it's crazy.
That is insane.
Yeah.
That is insanity.
Yeah.
And yet, I saw, I think it was, I'm not going to say the broker, but I think it first came from the broker that said that they're now going to start doing those appointments, and I thought it's just stupid. It's just going to make people crazier.
Right.
What if your ELD tells you you've got to take your 30-minute break, which is stupid? See, and you were supposed to be there. Now you're missing your appointment because of a dumb calculator, right? I've got my ELD egg timer here because, what's the difference, right?
Right. Yep.
Oh my gosh, I think it's getting crazier. That's why I think it's almost like it's a plot to make sure that we all have self-driving trucks, because the goal is to make the driver as crazy as possible so he literally jumps out of the truck and the truck just drives itself. I think that's what is happening.
Right.
Okay, so dispatcher training part 2. We went through 2 hours 2 weeks ago, and what we did is we talked about dispatcher workspace orientation, and you can see this spreadsheet. And this is my information that I put together. Then we went into load board orientation, and then what it takes to book loads on central dispatch, and then communicating with a driver and kind of how to start getting into being a dispatcher.
Yeah.
What that doesn't cover, though, is, okay, what's it really like to book a load? And that's where we go into part 2, the reality of booking loads and what I call next level dispatching. So to start off, let's go ahead and look at some loads here. And as we talked about, it's really interesting. It had never occurred to me that to learn how to use Central Dispatch, you can get a 30-day free trial if you're a trucker and you have the MC number, and I don't know what all the requirements are. But what if you're a dispatcher in training and you need a sandbox, right? There is no Central Dispatch sandbox. I never realized that need before. So this is a plea to Central Dispatch that shall go completely unnoticed. But please create a dispatcher sandbox tool so that a dispatcher in training can learn to use Central Dispatch without being a trucking company. And I realize that we're not going to have people anymore. It's all going to be robots and driverless trucks. But until people are removed from all jobs, can we get a dispatcher in training sandbox tool? Okay. So let's look at Oklahoma to Texas. And I paint a pretty bleak picture sometimes. But I get cranky in dispatching. I can't get out of here. I'm chained to this desk. Okay. I just did a search, by the way, right? And I'm going to be talking about different types of searches you can do. Region search, city search, you choose your states. And you got your cargo options. By the way, I was talking to somebody yesterday. You can click these down arrows. That's how you get to these different states. Actually click down on those arrows. You go into cargo options, just leave it as all vehicles. This is open versus enclosed trailer, right? And we talked about in part one learning more about trailers, and because that's all really basic stuff. Just learning what trailers are like, right? We talked about that earlier. So we're doing our filters to search for vehicles. We hit search vehicles and we get results. And this is now going to take us into next level dispatching. Like, okay, now that I'm searching for vehicles, what am I looking for? What makes a good load? I'm looking for what I call an anchor load. And how do I know an anchor load when I see it? So, what I say is, an anchor load, and then I'm going to go back and read these two, but an anchor load is great paying used cars, because if you've got a belly spot that fits in your belly, a good paying used car is usually going to be under 17 foot in length, so that means you've got room on your trailer, you're not taking up more than one spot. A good paying used car is under 4,000 pounds, which means I don't have weight problems as I book more cars. If I can get a cluster of these used cars and each car still pays 50 cents a mile, then I know that I'm probably looking at a money leg, because if I can make my 50 cents a car minimum on a one pick one drop cluster, then I'm looking to be ahead of the game. I'm always interested in looking at a $1,000 car. Anything paying $1,000 is going to catch my eye. If it pays $1 a mile, I'm interested. I'm going to look at it. And then when there's special occasions like around the holidays, and you'll see like, this car must be delivered by Christmas. That stuff's interesting. You can find really good deals around holidays. The calendar year is full of holidays, so look for that stuff. And if it's cash, money, cash, not just COD, not just check, but cash in your hand, yes, I'm interested in that stuff. So, let me say this before I move on. Because if you are trying to move on to next level dispatching, and you must, I'm just going to say it this way, you must be prepared to read a dispatch sheet, search for loads. You must be ready to pick up the phone and make phone calls. If you are not ready, then I suggest you go back to video 1, part 1. Your computer has to be set up. You were telling me you got a dual monitor set up, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
All right, perfect. You must start to make yourself available once you're really ready to dispatch. Hey, what's up, Gino? Welcome to the show. And Big Papa, awesome. And otherwise, I say go back to part 1. Is the carrier you are dispatching for ready for transport? If they're broken down, if they have a licensing problem, don't look for loads for them. Do not waste your time. If they're not set up on Central, they're not ready. Rarely have I worked with somebody who's not set up on Central. It's not that it can't be done. It's just not, this business model is not set up for that.
Right.
They also have to be authorizing you to call and dispatch on their behalf. You can never be halfway in to the deal. It's all or nothing.
Okay.
And I've even asked drivers, listen, are you ready for me to start booking for you? Because if I start booking, I get you the dispatch. We're either in or out. And that's where I talked about some of the contractual stuff at the end of part 1. And you've got to be in communication. Communication. When a driver goes AWOL, as I like to say, means we got a problem, and maybe I need to stop dispatching for them until we start talking again. And that goes for the dispatcher. A carrier will say, I haven't heard from my dispatcher in a few days. That's not good. That's when he's looking for a new dispatcher.
Right.
Okay, so once you find this anchor load, let's say you find something you like. Let's try to find, okay, here, this Silverado fits in my description. It's $1 a mile, but it's pretty big. I don't know if I'd be ready to call that. Let's see. I'm looking for a used car. I kept saying used car. That's what I want. And a used Bentley isn't what I would call a used car. Okay. Oh, here's a cluster. Click the arrow. Oh, it's all trucks. Don't do it. It's all trucks. Not interested. Okay, here's some used cars, but they're not. Okay, but they are. Same pick, one pick. Well, they're two different brokers. So it's not really one pick, one drop. Oh, here we go. Oh, it's going to the port. No. I'm going to skip that for the moment. 41 cents a mile, no. Mix, no. Oklahoma City to McAllen. That's interesting. A Civic and a RAV4. That's interesting. I think it should pay more because McAllen is down there. You can always click view route and look at your map. But let's say I thought, you know what? This is perfect. His sister lives in McAllen. Go visit his sister. It's a Honda Civic and a RAV4. I like the sizes and the specs on that, so I'm ready to call it, right? Okay. Negotiating with a broker is like sitting at a poker table with lawyers, okay?
Yep.
I say this because I'm trying to paint a picture. This is a serious situation because anything you say, moving right into the next thing, you have to think before you speak. If you are talking to a lawyer, you're going to be careful what you say.
Right.
If you're at a poker table, you're going to be careful what you say. Have your calculator. Listen, I know we're in that, it's all apps and everything. I like a manual calculator. I have it sitting here and I'm ready to go. In fact, I run my numbers before I call. I know if I'm going to ask for more money, I know what that number is. And I also check their profile. Click on the broker's name and find out what you need to know. Look at the ratings. Okay?
Yep.
Point out the problems. I'm just realizing how fun it is that I'm saying this stuff live because this is really what I do. Okay? I'm going to point out the problems. The problem is it's in McAllen, which is way down there. And I'm pointing this problem out because it needs to pay more. Dude, it's not like it goes to San Antonio or Corpus Christi. It literally goes basically to the border. It should pay more. So by pointing out problems, you're setting up why a negotiation should take place. If it goes to the port, if it's an in-op, if we need to get a winch going, okay? Point out the problems. And never be excited. I must sound like I'm about to fall over from exhaustion half the time when I call loads because I do not want to sound excited at all. I'm giving away my secrets here.
Yeah.
Let them do the talking. If you do some of these things right, you don't say too much, have your calculator, you're pointing out problems, you're not excited, they will start to talk more. And they will be ready to negotiate. But if you're all giggly excited, you are never going to get more money. And that's what we're talking about. Because drivers, as I just showed in Facebook News, go through a million problems. So you, as the dispatcher, you have to get more money. And really, these cars are listed as low as possible. Just like when you put your old Nintendo on eBay, you list it for a nickel. It doesn't mean it's going to sell for a nickel. And that's the same thing here. So anybody who says the price is not negotiable, that's where I move into, you are willing to walk away. Really? It's not negotiable? Now this is not an argument, and I want to say, be nice, be professional, but if they say the price is not negotiable, well then I'm sorry I wasted your time. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
Just get up and walk away. You do that at a poker table. Also, leverage your driver. You could say, maybe he says, you know what? You say 800, that's not enough. 55 cents a mile per car, can't do it. I need 70 cents a mile per vehicle, which puts it at, let's see here. So we got 724 miles. I need $1.40 for the pair. So I'm at, listen, I need another $200. I need another $100 per car. And he says, there's no way I can do that, but I can do another 50 per car. Then you say, you know what? All right, let's do this. Let me talk to my driver, see if that works. And if I can make it work, I'll call you back. So that way you just put the driver in between you and the broker, which is the truth, because you do need to check with your driver. And I constantly talk to the driver. That's why I'll have my office phone and I'll have my cell phone, and I'll talk to both of them need be. You know, that's what makes it Wall Street. This is the Wall Street of trucking. So if there's any excitement, that's it. And don't do any favors. Sweet old lady, hey buddy, can you help me? Whatever. That's cool and all. I'm really glad that, you know, everybody's super nice and it's easy peasy and it's all this stuff. But this is a business. I'm sorry, I can't move this car for 20 cents a mile because it's easy peasy. So I just can't do it.
Right. Yep.
All right, cool. So I put negotiation before I talk about many of these other things, because as you move forward, that's the kind of thing that you're thinking about. As I point out, this is, I just said point out problems. I'm about to get into a lot more problems.
Yep.
You have to know your types of locations. There are many different types of locations, and as I've started to write it out, I realized there really are a lot. Let's do this here. Okay. Let's start with, I started with, at the top of my list, locations that I prefer, I think are at the top, and locations I don't like are at the bottom. I tried to put it in order. Dealerships are one of my favorite locations in that you're dealing with people that want to move cars. Now, ironically, there are a lot of dealerships that don't seem to have thought about where the transporter is going to park and load, which seems kind of crazy, because your business is moving cars, and yet there's nowhere for the transporter to do that. But be that as it may, I like dealerships because you can often get a night pickup or a night drop. It's the hours of operation that, as we go through these locations, become more of a problem.
Right.
So with your dealership, just make sure if it's picking up at a dealership, and as I say this too, when you are booking a load, one of your first questions is always, what kind of pickup location is it? That's literally my first question. If I call and ask about these two vehicles, and he answers the phone and says, order ID, I'm going to say, hey, the two cars, Oklahoma City to Texas. Yep, that's available. What kind of pickup location is it? It's like my first question all the time. Because right there, I can begin the process of, am I still interested? Which gets me into, what's the negotiation going to be like? If he says Copart, I already know I'm either not interested or I need more money. Sorry, Copart, it really is that bad sometimes. I don't know how it gets fixed. These are salvage vehicles. Man, salvage is tough. I've had drivers saying, I'm not even going to Copart anymore. That's just part of it. But a dealership, used cars at a dealership, maybe it's a lease return, this is great, man. I'm going to look at Google. I'm going to look at the streets. I'm going to get the contact information, the operation hours. Now, this information really comes after I get the dispatch, okay?
Yeah.
The negotiation all happens before I get the dispatch. But once I've got the dispatch, these are my considerations. You're going to want the VIN number if you're picking up at a dealership. Is it a smart auction vehicle? Is it at sales? Is it at service? Which department do I need to know? And is it ready to go? So those are your considerations at a dealership. What kind of considerations do you have at a Mannheim Odessa? Gate pass. Mannheim and Odessa is cool because you have long hours where you can pick up or deliver. But the downside is that drivers often have to spend a lot of time searching for the vehicle. So it seems like every location really has an up and a downside. But Mannheim and Odessa is popular. But if you hear PSI, is that post-sale inspection, means it's not ready yet. And these are questions that not only are these considerations at a location, but once you book the vehicle, and I know I move around a little bit. Once you book the vehicle, you want to ask these questions so you call the location and you start asking these questions. Is the gate pass ready? Is it PSI? If you have a gate pass, confirm the gate pass. Confirm the smart auction. Is this thing ready to go? And what you do is you do these things at the guard shack oftentimes. When you call a Mannheim or Odessa, you end up talking to the front desk. And in fact, on the menu, if you press 5, it'll take you to the guard shack. The guard shack is a little station outside the main building, outside the parking lot where you drive in, and that's where you can actually present a gate pass and pick up a car and move on your way. Now, as a dispatcher, you don't have to know all those mechanics of what it looks like, but it sure does help, and that's my goal here, is to help you understand what the driver is seeing and experiencing.
Yeah.
A business or a warehouse, the hardest part is going to be their hours of operation, because now you're dealing with people that are working. Like if you're picking up something at a government building, you definitely need to know their hours. You need to ask when you call to verify the vehicle, do you have after hours? Do you have weekend pickup delivery? When I hear business, I think Monday through Friday only until I hear that there's, outside of those hours. And those are the kinds of things that when you get those dispatches, man, you got to call them right away. Residential. Now, you should have more flexible hours at a residential because we live in houses. You're at home. Usually you're at home when you're not at work. If you're at work, then you're away, you're not available like 8 to 5, things like that. So, but if you call ahead, ask them maybe if they can leave the keys out. Put that in there, leave the keys. Which is actually a good question all the time. Once you get to know a pickup contact, you're nice, you're talking, and you're getting contact information, talking about the hours, and you ask the resident, so there's no luggage in it, right? And they say, well, I got a couple things in the trunk. Okay, I don't think that's a problem. Make sure you talk to your broker. But you can't have anything visible above the window. With residences, you'll find the person that is moving their life in their Honda Civic, and they've packed it to the roof. You can't do that. We're not a moving company. We're a car hauler. So actually that's not going to work. So you do want to kind of talk about some of those things, and they might need to talk to their broker before they move forward. And what are they expecting? Are they expecting you there at 12:15? Because if they're expecting that, maybe they should talk to their broker. And as I say these things, when you run into problems at a pickup location and you can see a disconnect happening, tell them to talk to their broker. That is not for you to argue with, right?
Right.
So when you understand the role of the broker, yeah, you negotiated with them, but once you got the vehicle, once the negotiation's over, they're still the one to handle any problems at the pickup or delivery contact. That's what they're getting paid for. It's not up to the dispatcher to solve everybody's problems and figure out how Johnny's going to get to school and she's going to get to the hairdresser and then the driver is going to park 5 miles away from the housing development. No, that is not your job. That's the broker's job.
Okay.
Brokers might disagree. And I'm going to say things, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to say all kinds of things people are going to disagree with. And you comment down below the video and we'll have a discussion about it. I'm not the end all be all. I've been in, each time I talk about one of these things, I remember a situation that gave me this understanding. So I've been through so many different situations, but again, I'd love to hear your comments, and Yeah, we'll move forward with that. So, and really with a resident, you want to try to meet at a Walmart, which is very interesting. Walmarts or Home Depots are great places for carriers to meet residents and get their vehicle. Now, is that asking too much? Maybe. So you talk about it. If it's a housing development in like, remote Kansas, fine. We're going to pull in, we're going to pull out, we're good to go. But if this is downtown New Orleans, I don't know. We might have to meet at a Home Depot or a Walmart, and we're going to talk about it. We're just going to be straightforward, and we're going to talk to the customer. We're not putting that off on the broker. We're going to talk to the customer. The time you call the broker in is if you are butting heads. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's really, and you're just trying to soften up the pickup and delivery for the driver. All right, rail yards and manufacturing plants. Now this gets tricky because many of these locations have special rules. The driver might have to dress in certain gear or have something special about the truck or have a pass. But most of the time it just comes down to operation hours, bay locations. You want to get those things on the dispatch. And that's usually what it comes down to. But like I've been told, like no, I don't know, you can't have any metal objects on your person when you're doing your inspection. You might scratch the vehicle. So you want to ask questions when you're booking, because that gets into new cars. I mean, we're talking new vehicles, which is again why I say I want used cars, great paying used cars. I don't want a brand new Ferrari. I don't want that stuff. I don't want a 2019 Maybach for 50 cents a mile, right? That's yeah. All right. So now we're going to move down another notch because ports and docks are hard because you need a TWIC. TWIC, what is it? Transportation Workers Credential. It's basically the credential that transportation worker identification credential. It gives a carrier authorization to be at the port. So a carrier has to get that on his own. Otherwise, you got to hire an escort, which gets expensive. Plus, you got to set up the appointment. Really, you want to avoid ports unless you've already talked to your driver about it. You also have dock receipts. They have tight hours. They are slow getting in and coming out of. So ports are a definite red flag if it says going to the port. And I did see one up here. It said going to the port. I really appreciate it when brokers, here it is, going to the port, please call. I really appreciate it when brokers put those kinds of things in there. Going to the port, not a run and drive, which brings us into repo, tow yard, and terminal. Now, a repo lot is going to have cars that obviously have been repossessed or towed, and a lot of times those cars need to be transported. They may be semi-inoperable, and a tow yard doesn't do over-the-road hauling. So there's a lot of cars on like one dispatch that you'll find that are picking up at repo lots, and you just need to know that when you call the repo lot, they're going to ask for things like 24-hour notice, got to set up an appointment, and you're going to have to ask, they might say, we only release vehicles Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9:30 to 11 and 1 to 2. I've been told things like that, and that's why I wanted Dave on the show tonight to hear real world, like that stuff is nearly impossible to hit. It's like being Luke Skywalker and trying to destroy the Death Star twice a day. Okay, it's almost unfair to the car hauler, but it does get asked, and so I don't want to book those cars because I know between inoperable and tiny windows for pickup, and then maybe it's not ready, and also you can actually have a what do they call that at a repo yard where you need a power of attorney at a police compound. I've been in that situation. Oh my gosh. And I actually was dumb enough to try and help the driver get that car. Oh my God, I called to book the car. I booked the car, then I called to verify it was ready for pickup. And I don't know, I think I talked to the repo guy who started to tell the story of the couple that was arguing and that we better come there quick and bring the sheriff with us.
Oh, wow.
I thought, okay, I could try and do that. Oh my gosh, you hear that kind of stuff? Just call the broker back. This is where you call. You know what? I'm sorry. They're telling me to call the sheriff. No, I'm not doing this. I'm out of this. It's too much. Um, and then a terminal. All right, you're gonna hear the phrase terminal. Now, a terminal is really a tow yard, but it's being used at a pickup point because in the world, think like valet, right? So the valet guy at the Taj Mahal is basically you might tip this guy $100 to take your car, put it on a single car trailer, drive it 2 miles down the road, and you are a super VIP. That's what he did is he took it to a tow yard, but he calls it a terminal. And so when you're dealing with super VIPs, you will run into terminals that are just tow yards. And you get there and you think it's more Taj Mahal, but it's got chuck holes and mud pits in the driveway, and somebody somewhere feels like a VIP, but it's just another tow yard. So that's what a terminal is. There, I said it. In the comments, right? Okay. IAA Copart. Okay, so Mannheim Odessa is used car auto auction. Think miles and miles of cars. IAA Copart is the same thing, except think miles and miles of salvage cars. IAA and Copart Insurance Auto Auction is what IAA or IAAI stands for. You can pick up between 8 and 4:30. You need a buyer number. You need a lot number. They charge storage fees, some of them $40 a day just to keep your piece of metal in the gravel lot, which is awesome. Got to get into that business. And when you book that car, you're going to have to book these cars sometimes to fill up the trailer and see if you can get pictures. Sometimes you can get a car at a Copart or IAA and there's almost nothing wrong with it, which is kind of like, I don't know. It's like your birthday. It just feels good.
Yeah.
But you call the IAA or Copart. When you call these locations and you ask some of these questions, you call them, is it a run and drive? And they're going to huff and puff that they got to change screens. I know it's not fair, but it happens a lot. And they've got to change screens, but they'll check and see if it's a run and drive. You ask them, and they're busy, man. They're busy because they're selling all kinds of cars. But you ask them things, does it roll, brake, and steer? That's what RBS means, roll, brake, and steer. If it rolls, brakes, and steers, you could probably get through it. You also want to make sure if it has keys, because if there's no keys and it doesn't roll, brake, and steer, man, they better have a forklift at delivery. And now you have to do more fact finding because you may not have known that before. Also, when the driver gets to an IA or Copart, they're going to need to maybe pick up the title when they pick up the car, because this car has been sold, it's changing hands, and the title might have been mailed, but Copart and IAA actually charge extra for that. And sometimes the margin on these vehicles is so small that they don't even want to pay the $10 to mail the title. And what's cool about this is that you can go back, right? You can go back and watch this video again and kind of go through some of these locations. And I'll tell you, we're an hour into this video. So if you're JBG Travels, yeah, man, he's got some great videos. If you are trying to remember where in this video I talked about locations, that was 1 hour in. So, okay, so those are your types of locations. That's really most of it. And I know I've got a lot of, there's a lot of great comments coming in. Wow, and I can't keep up with them, and I get distracted if I try to, so I'm just going to keep talking. But please, guys, please keep talking in the chat. And by the way, YouTube just updated. They now have the chat viewable in the video after the live stream. So this would be the first time. I think they just did it last week. I'm going to say this now. I'm going to take this moment. If you are trying to learn more about YouTube, I added a YouTube wisdom section to my homepage. And man, these guys have great information if you want to learn more about YouTube. It's pretty awesome. So I'm really happy that YouTube made this update so that I think you guys can see this chat in the on-demand stream. I hope that's true since I said it. Okay, so questions about locations before I move on, Mike?
No.
All right,
Actually,
cool.
I do have a question.
Okay, cool. All right.
Does any dealers call you directly?
Okay, that's a good question. So what will happen is on Central Dispatch, you can put in your truck. You can set up a truck profile, and I don't know if I can go in here. You know, I gotta be careful where I go and what I show, because I don't know if anybody will feel chapped about it. But you can go in and in in My Trucks. I think it's My Trucks. You can put in your truck and state your location. And if you say, okay, my truck is a 3-car wedge, I'm going to be in Virginia Beach starting Monday the 12th, you will get phone calls from brokers. Hey, I saw your truck is open and available starting Monday the 12th. I got a load going to Anchorage, Alaska. So sometimes you will get calls. The chances that they have a load that will actually overlap what you're doing isn't always that good.
Right.
But sometimes you will get calls from, you might get a call from let's say you moved a car from a dealership. They might call you back and say, hey, I got another one. Are you doing that run again? Yeah, but you're not going to get calls from a Mannheim or Odessa. Brokers work extremely hard to create the relationships with these locations. So they're going to call the broker. The dealer works with a broker. The Mannheim, Odessa is so large, they work with load boards usually. Businesses will find a broker on Google. They will Google, need my car shipped, need a car hauler, and they're going to find a broker. And the broker is going to list the load on Central Dispatch, and then when you find it on Central Dispatch, you're talking to the broker that got the listing, probably through Google or through a business relationship. A resident, they're using Google. A rail yard, a manufacturing plant, that is a salesperson at a brokerage that is working hard to set up relationships with large facilities that need to move a lot of vehicles. Port and a dock, same thing as what I just said about rail yards. Repo and tow yard, that's going to be combinations of relationships or just load boards. And IAA Copart is a lot, it seems like a lot of salvage vehicles that move. There are just well-formulated channels of relationships in place to handle that. I think it's based on where vehicles are going to get shipped to, because a lot of these vehicles are going to get shipped out, or they're going to go to chop shops, and or even, you know, a lot of used car dealers buy from IAA Copart, which is interesting because I think that if the residents realized how many salvage vehicles ended up in used car lots, they'd be shocked, I think. That's just a speculation. Which, you know, I speculate a lot, but I try to be meticulous about this information. So I talked about asking if it's a run and drive. This is big. I mean, is it a run and drive? That should be aside from what I think actually, and I think that's why I put it here, when I'm negotiating, when I call about a load, in the very beginning, this is before negotiation, okay. I call, let's go back to my McAllen load. I like this one because it's interesting. I don't think it pays enough for where it's going. Again, McAllen is a tough spot, but I like that it's COD also. Yeah, it should be 70 cents a mile. That's really what I think. But I call it. What kind of pickup location is it? And he says, oh, it's easy peasy. It's dealership easy to dealership peasy. Okay, that sounds great. Are they run and drives? That is literally the next question. Even though it's not listed as inoperable or anything like that, and even though it could be at a dealership, ask it anyways. Now later on, as you move forward, you probably don't ask that if you're booking a Mannheim vehicle. You probably don't ask it if you're booking a rail yard or manufacturing plant vehicle. But I have seen 2018s that are a mess. So just because it's a 2018 doesn't mean it's not a pretzel. So you ask, is it a run and drive? If it is a run and drive, great. Even if it's a dealer business, go ahead and ask. Ask for the hours of pickup. Is it ready to go? Is it paid for? Can we night drop? I'm still asking these questions because ultimately, not only am I fact finding, but I am looking for problems.
Yeah.
So that's why I say again, this is next level dispatching. This is where you're trying to book loads and get the best deal you can for your drivers. If it does not run and drive, is it fork on and is it fork off? That's actually two separate questions. Is it going to be forked on at the pickup location? Is it going to be forked off at delivery? The broker might just say, yep, you're good to go. You're going to ask that again when you call the pickup location. Hey, I booked this car in a box. Is it really fork on? And he says, well, yeah, I think we have a forklift around here. Not good. That is not the answer. The answer is yes. This is a location we fork on cars all the time.
Yeah.
So, and let's say even if you're cool with that, what's wrong with it? Is the axle broken in half and is it going to fall off the car as we try to load it? Do you have pictures? I always want pictures when I hear in-op. It doesn't mean I'll get them, but I'm going to ask. Do we need a winch? Are there any loose parts? Is the bumper sitting on the ground and it's going to need to be shoved in the back seat? That actually, I've heard of the answer to that usually is yes. They want every piece of it. Because the belief is, even though the bumper's laying on the ground, I'm assuming we just leave it there. Nope. That's why you see bumpers along the side of the road everywhere, because somebody said put the bumper in the back seat and then it didn't stay there.
Right.
If you cannot get answers to these questions, skip it. You need to get the pickup and delivery hours, and if it's in-op, I'm asking for more money, which is ironic because in the salvage car business, Copart has figured out how to make their money with storage fees. It's a racket, okay? I'm sorry, but it is a racket. $40 a day to leave a car that, you might even probably was just wrapped up in a bunch of trees, and now it's $40 a day to sit there taking up gravel. That's a racket. That money should be going to the carrier, and it's not because it's going to storage fees. So when you ask for more money, they never have more money at a Copart. Almost never. Unless you can pick it up immediately to avoid those storage fees. Am I right? Does anybody have a comment about that? I think I'll probably get some comments at some point. Or not. No news is good news, right? All right, so remember, in-ops are the worst and can ruin your day. You can lose so much time on an in-op. I think I'd rather have my driver walk 2 hours at Mannheim than go to Copart and try to figure out how to get the bumper in the back seat.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, the shipper will let the driver get to the vehicle and figure it out rather than collect the information that might stop a carrier from booking it in the first place. I'm sorry, but it's true. And I said shipper. I did not say broker or residential customer. I don't know who did it. And it seems like everybody kind of looks away and they don't want to look into the light and realize the truth that this thing is a nightmare. Oftentimes, you don't find out until you call Copart. So that's why Copart's at the bottom of the list. Man, I've said Copart so many times. All right. So I think I've I have beat that dead horse.
Yeah.
All right. So, all right, cool.
Yep.
Okay. So what do we got? Comment. Nadia has a comment. Don't pick up a car until the fees are paid. And it's tricky. It's a good comment, Nadia. Thank you. It's tricky because you find the situation where if you don't book it until the fees are paid, but you said pick up a car. What happens is you book the car and you find out there is storage due, and they say I'll pay the storage when you get there, because they're afraid you're going to just change your mind, not show up, and here they are just coughing up storage fees all day. But that really is Copart creating the problem. It's kind of like I came up the other day. You know what? Guns don't kill people. ELDs do.
Right.
Copart has created a problem because it's a frenzy to get the car out of there. And now there's this, I'm not going to pay the storage fees until you're there. Well, you know what? If the storage fees aren't paid, and by the way, it's not like you can it's not like all customers can press a button and pay their storage fees. Sometimes the customer has to go to the Copart and pay at the location. I don't understand any of that stuff. But, and you can pay the fees and get reimbursed on delivery, absolutely. And this is where, as a dispatcher, you have to try and collect that information. So those are all great comments. As you can see, there's many ways to slice the Copart pizza. Okay. All right, let's go on to types of payment. Now, again, in part one, I touched upon different areas of a dispatch sheet. And now I'm trying to dive in further and really dissect these pieces. And when I'm training a dispatcher, that's why this is a challenging exercise, I'm telling you. When I train a dispatcher, hours go by. I mean, I think one time it was at like 60 hours, which is insane. I mean, I don't know. Why would you listen to anybody talk that long? But 60 hours, it can't be right. It can't be right. But it's a lot of hours, and there's so many pieces. So, all right, here we go. Types of payment. Money now versus money later. It's like they say, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. And I know when I first heard that expression, I didn't understand it. But just because you here's what I like to say. Just because you see it doesn't mean you can have it. You know, I see this load to McAllen. I've been talking about it. And I can call my driver and high five and like, woo! We're going to McAllen. You're going to see your sister. And we're like telling jokes and partying. And then I refresh and it's gone. So, you know, if you can get the car and you can get a COD, even if a car that pays $100 more pays in 30 days, man, COD is almost always better than 30 days. So, and here's an important note for a dispatcher. I believe in this business model, but not everybody does. But all payments are made to the carrier and all billing is done by the driver. I am not a middleman. I'm a service provider. I book cars. Okay? So if the broker says, who do we send the check to? The driver. The answer is always the driver. In fact, I work for the driver. I'm in the driver's central dispatch account. I am his back office. This is his company. You don't want to be in the middle, because if something goes sideways, it is not worth it. Which is why being a dispatcher is totally different from being a broker. When you're a broker, you're taking on the responsibility. You don't even know who the customer is sometimes. It's the broker, right? You working with the broker. When you're a dispatcher, no. I'm an extension of the driver, and we are keeping it that way. So I don't collect any money except from the driver for the vehicles I booked.
Right.
And hopefully I did a good job in negotiation where I was able to get more money for the vehicle, as I should, and some of that money that I negotiated pays me, so I actually don't end up, he doesn't lose anything from the actual listing as if he just picked it off the load board.
Okay.
Okay? That's a goal in your mind. And what I said is reasonable. I'm sure I could get a comment, Jay, you're not being fair. You should just take the car for what it's listed at. Not true. Everything is negotiable. This is car hauling.
Yeah.
And you know that when you go to the dealership. Do you ever just, yep, I'll take that one and I'll take it for the sticker? No. This is car hauling. These are cars. There's a lot of parameters, and negotiation is part of the deal. All right. And you can point out why. And I've given you a bunch of ammunition on why you should have room to negotiate.
Right.
Okay, so what are the types of payment? Oh, by the way, EIN versus Social Security number. Any car hauler company that is serious should have an EIN. Don't use your Social Security number when you're getting paid. You don't want to do that. You can even say that to the driver. If you notice his Social Security number on his W-9, hey, you know what? You really should have an EIN. You don't want to be using your Social Security number out there. Now, my type of thinking is, well, all the scammers already have my Social Security number because it seems like there isn't a credit card company or other government organization that can keep my data secure. But anyways, I think we should go ahead and use an EIN. All right, rant over. Types of payment. All right, starting with best to worst. All right, COD and cash. If it says COD, I'll just say cash. Is it cash or is it COD? It can't be personal check. Never personal checks. No personal checks. Say it with me, Mike. No personal checks.
No personal check.
No personal checks. Never a personal check. Never.
Right.
All right? Company checks or cash. So when you're dealing with a resident, what do they probably have? They probably just have cash.
Yep.
Or they do money orders, which, do people still do money orders? When I think of money orders, I think of handheld calculators. I'm surprised it still exists. But who knows? I mean, I don't know. Cash or COD. Next best to that is ComCheck. Now, one dispatch loves doing ComChecks. Any broker that advertises ComCheck, and how does that appear? Here it is, no fee ComCheck. It's actually one of my favorite things about Metrogistics is the no fee ComCheck. Thank you, no fee ComCheck. What's a ComCheck? All right, a ComCheck is actually a fancy piece of paper created by comdata.com. And so, let's see here. You know what? Let's Google. This is where in my dispatcher training I usually show a ComCheck because I have a ComCheck. But here we go. We're online. That's a ComCheck. Okay?
Kind of like truck stop money?
It is like truck stop money. It is like truck stop money. So what's interesting about this document, let's see if I can click on this. It seems like Google changed their, yeah. Okay, cool, thank you, awesome. So, ComData, ComCheck, and here's the ComCheck number. And they're going to make it out to pay to the order of Joe Schmo Transport for the sum of 1,000 gold bars. And here is the amount and the date. Now this is what is needed for the ComCheck to be unlocked to actually work. At this moment it's a piece of paper. But after the driver delivers, the broker gives the express code to the dispatcher or driver, and they plug that in here. They plug that in here, And then this authorization number, it happens. So the carrier calls this number. I think they give the express code, give the ComCheck number, so the keys are turning. Turn your key, sir. And finally, it unlocks, and now it is truck stop money. ComChecks are cool because almost all truck stops do ComChecks, and you can also deposit it at a bank.
Okay.
So, yeah, ComChecks are cool. Now, it's interesting. Nadia says the rest are fake. Yes. So there's a T-check. Oh, man. Now, I don't know Shinola about T-checks, but I tried to one time, and it seemed like what happened was we got the T-check. It was like an $800 T-check, and the only thing the driver could do with it was get like gas and snacks.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure there is a ComCheck fee, and you're right. I don't know what it is. That's because I've never physically handled a ComCheck, so I don't know what it is. But I think there is a ComCheck fee, but it's nominal for having cash in hand. Oh, it's no fee to the carrier? Okay. Maybe if you go to the bank, or actually, sometimes brokers will charge you a ComCheck fee. I think. I don't know. But you might ask. So if it says ComCheck, it's great, and that's why this says no fee ComCheck, right? So if it just says ComCheck, and this is where you're going to find your payment terms, all right? $250 COD, COD. All right, $270. What does that mean? Okay, that means it's either quick pay, which is 2 to 5 day check in the mail, or 10 or 15 day check in the mail, or 30-day check in the mail, who knows?
Yep.
This is where you check the ratings of the broker. If this thing's a 30-day pay, you are going to check their ratings. Now, Cars Arrive Network, I'm going to go ahead and vouch for Cars Arrive Network. I don't think I've ever heard of anybody not getting paid by Cars Arrive Network. But if you've got a broker that has 20 ratings and it's not 100%, and they want to do a 30-day pay, you may not want to do it. In fact, sometimes there's a red message that shows up on the dispatch sheet. This shipper has received negative ratings due to payment. I've called the shipper and said, "Hey, I just got a pop-up on my screen. What's the deal? Is there going to be a problem?"
Yep.
Remember the poker table, and remember the lawyers. Always keep that in mind, that at any moment, if you go to the Mannheim and the car drops off the top of the headache rack and lands sideways, remember the poker table and the lawyers, because it's real, right? That's why I don't want to hear easy peasy. These are cars being moved hundreds of miles. Sweet old lady, that's fine. That's fine. You got the wrong guy, I'm sorry. Direct deposit is cool. You just need to communicate with the driver. Are you cool with a direct deposit? And they say, what bank do you bank with? Sometimes they'll do that as a negotiation. You'll hear a broker. You point out a problems. You say, oh man, it's an in-op and this and that. Hey, it's direct deposit. So you want to know some of these parameters because this is the other side of the negotiation. Okay, so the axle is broken half, but it's cash, right? It's cash money. It is fork on, fork off. Okay, all right, that's cool. Now, don't be afraid to discuss cents per mile if it's too low. Like I just did in this McAllen example. I said it's listed at 55 cents a mile. I think it should be 70 cents a mile. And they might say, well, why do you think that? And I'm going to say, well, because it's McAllen. It's literally the border. And there's only one way to get out of McAllen, and that's going north.
Yep.
So I will go ahead and point out those problems. So when you talk cents per mile, just know that the common knowledge is the one and only says, I was ripped off by a broker. Join the club, one and only. Man, that's not funny, but that's why I'm talking about this stuff. Because I do not want to see dispatchers that I'm trying to help get ripped off. All right. Um, and that's why we talk about a poker table full of lawyers. It's tough out there.
Right.
Average is 50 cents a mile per vehicle. That is the average. Okay, that's the average expectation. When you go up to a gumball machine, you expect the gumball to be a quarter. You put your quarter in and you turn the thing and you get your gumball. If it says 75 cents, you feel like you're being ripped off. The average of a vehicle is 50 cents per mile. So if it's listed below that, it's too low. That is not even the average. I'm sorry, it's just the truth. And they say we can't do any more than that, and that's when you get up from the poker table and you walk away and you go do something else.
Right.
But if you have a great anchor load, you have room to play with, unfortunately. You need to get filled up, right? And that's why we talk about a great anchor is a great paying used car. Because you're going to need room to compromise. Driver has expenses. You know your types of locations. You know the time required to pick up. You know special considerations like the port or repo lot. Stay tough. Don't do favors. Walk away. And that's why, as I talk about in another section, you need time to book vehicles. If your driver's driving 25 miles, 25 miles, 25 miles, there's not enough time to keep him booked. While he's driving, once he gets his cars picked up, you are literally working on the next leg. You're actually working on the next leg before he gets those cars picked up. But you need time. So, okay, what will the broker be asking you? Not only are we negotiating about these points, right? The different parameters and the reasons we need more money, but they're finding reasons why you're not the right carrier. Because if it really is a gold bar used car, they are thinking you're not the right carrier. This Bentley Continental, there's a reason why you're not the right carrier. So what are those reasons that they're going to find? And they might be right. Listen, I might be right that it should pay a lot more money, and they might be right that we're the wrong carrier. That's possible. So they're going to say, here's how the negotiation goes. I call the car, and I say, I'm going to go back to that one. I've really gotten used to that, looking at that one. I call the McAllen load, and I say, I'm sorry, I was thinking about other stuff. I say, what type of pickup location, right? That's my first phrase.
Yeah.
And he says, what's the order ID? I say, oh, I'm sorry, 2 cars, Oklahoma City, going to McAllen. What type of pickup location? Oh, okay, that's at a dealership. Are they run and drive? Before he answers that question, he says, what's your company name? Because he's going to start typing in my company name while I'm asking questions. So he's going to go to search company. He's doing his own due diligence. So we're both doing detective work, laying down our poker cards, in exchange. So I say, what kind of pickup and delivery location? He says, what's your company name? If the broker asks you that question, answer the question. It's okay. Tell them the company name. They say, is your packet on Central? Yes, our packet is on Central. We talked about, and I think we talked about, what is having a packet on Central? You go back to part 1. It is, you have 3 documents in your doc pack. Your MC authority certificate, your updated insurance, and your current W-9. That is your packet on Central. So you say, yep, here's our company name, our packet's on Central. And they say, can you make me a certificate holder?
Yeah.
Absolutely, no problem. Because I know that we've already talked about the insurance company, and I make sure that I have their contact phone number. So here we go. Yes, I can make you a certificate holder. All right, when can
Now,
you...
real quick,
Yeah,
that's when you would have to call the insurance agent, right?
Right. So...
Now, what happens if they don't send it immediately? You would lose the cars, right?
That's right, and that's where, again, poker table with lawyers, when you talk to the insurance agent, say,
Yep.
I hope you're having a great day, but I need your help right now. I do not have time. I'm going to lose this anchor load. This great paying used car gold bar is going to be gone in a minute. Can
Yeah.
you please, pretty please, sugar on top, send a certificate to this broker right now? Chances are they're going to say, yeah, I understand. I'm going to do that for you. I'm going to make sure that you guys get the loads you're looking for, and we're happy to be your insurance company.
Okay.
But you do have to. So what you do, though, because you're not going to make that call right now, because if you do that, if you're so focused on getting the certificate, you may not learn that there's other problems you may need to know. But you just say, yeah, I'll definitely make you a certificate holder. Yes. Or any answer to these questions is yes. What is your company name? Yes. Is your packet on Central? Yes. Can you make me a certificate holder? Yes. When can you pick up? You don't say today. Even if you're picking up today, you don't say today. I'm going to estimate pickup tomorrow. We might, and then you can follow up. We might pick up today. We're actually maybe going to pick up today. But I'd really like to set the dispatch for tomorrow, just in case we run into some snags at our CarMax appointment.
Okay.
Deliver when? I like to say 2 days. My standard is 2 days. I'd like for you to put 2 days on the dispatch sheet, pretty please, sugar on top. And they say, but it has to be there the next day. Really? What happens if it's not? Okay, you're back in the negotiation. What happens if it's not? Well, the world's going to blow up. I mean, they've got to have their Bentley. Okay, well, maybe we're not the right carrier then.
Yep.
Okay. Will you do it cheaper? You will get asked this. I can't believe, I don't know what seminar in what city shippers are going to where they teach, come to our free seminar where we teach you to ask, will you do it cheaper? But you will get asked that at least once a month, if not once every couple weeks. Can you do it for $50 less? Actually, there is a broker I can name that always says, can you do it for $50 less? The answer is
no.
Is that going to be a problem? And then, you know, oftentimes they say, oh, okay, that's no problem. But then they don't send me the dispatch because they're waiting for somebody else to do it for $50 cheaper. You are not going to get that car.
Right.
And then they say, can you fill out our broker packet? Yes. Here's my email address. Send it over. And they say, well, you can't have the load until you fill out the broker packet. Really? What happens? The Bentley will explode. Okay. Know the order ID. But, okay, the broker packet is actually one of my least favorite speed bumps. It's not a speed bump. It's a speed barrier. It's literally awful because almost never can you fill out a broker packet and still get the car. If they say you need to fill out a broker packet first, say send it over, but no, you need to book something else. Get the broker packet done. This is where I work with my drivers to make sure these get done. A lot of times, I can't even do the broker packet. There are so many pages, I don't even know the answers to these questions. It's like taking a geography exam in college. It's just, there are reasons why shippers need the packets, but, okay. I'm going to laugh if I try to finish that sentence. I don't actually know why all the time. I don't.
Now the broker packet stays on file then, once you're set up?
I like the way you asked that because it ended with a question mark. I don't know. What is the broker packet even for? I really don't know. Because if you have the certificate and our packet's on Central, what is the broker packet for? Like, you'll get asked things like, what regions do you run? We need job references, like a lot of stuff. I don't want to down.
You're not going to go direct to their customer, right?
Maybe. I should know broker packets better, but I try not to look at them. They just frustrate me. And I'm not alone, man. They frustrate everybody. I think that's why they exist.
Right.
But get the broker packet.
Yep.
Make sure it gets filled out. Go through the motions. Make them a certificate holder. Do all those things. But just know you're probably not going to get that car.
Right.
So keep booking. Now, you can't overbook. This is not an airline, which is funny because an airline seat is a pretty serious thing. So why airlines overbook still? Do they still overbook? I don't know. Seems crazy. But you can't do that. You cannot overbook a trailer. Don't book 4 cars on a 3-car wedge, even if the driver says he can do it. That's what I call an imaginary 4-car, and I've never seen an imaginary 4-car. I've heard about them, but I've never seen one. And I talk about requesting the insurance certificate process. So like I said, pretty please, sugar on top. It's a joke, but I've talked to insurance agents that literally, if I didn't talk to them like that, it was like Dave waiting at the CarMax. I mean, literally have to beg for things to happen. But it's okay. You'll get into a process, and some insurance agents are awesome, and some don't know where the phone is. And so that's something you want to learn in the beginning. But you need to give the insurance company the contact driver's insurance. Well, you need to know the contact driver's insurance company. You need to provide the broker company info, which what you do is you go to the you go to the listing, click on the broker, which takes you to their broker profile, and you just copy and paste their broker profile and email it. Get the email address of the insurance company. Email them the broker company info. As I say, create a regular process. You want to talk to an insurance agent and have that relationship before this moment hits, right? And you do want to try and establish an urgency and an understanding. Give them the broker email, and then after you've made the phone call and requested the certificate, call them back in 10 minutes. Hey, did that certificate of insurance get to the broker? Oh, great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Or, oh my God, no, the Bentley's going to explode. All right, cool. I'm going to keep saying that. Maybe I'll make t-shirts. I got to make some t-shirts, man. I can't believe I'm still wearing this t-shirt. I only have one of these. It's ridiculous. Have fun and be professional. All right, I put have fun in there. All right. So, when I talk about being at the table with lawyers, this is something I know something about in that I've seen lawyers operate. And what they do, and you should try to do this a little bit sometimes, is that they go into attack mode, like hammering business, and then lighten the mood. It's okay. We could still go fishing together. In fact, since we just had some rough business, maybe we're due for a light moment. A human moment, right? We are all humans still, correct? Right. This in-op is a piece of garbage. Don't you think so? I mean, isn't this thing really a piece of garbage? I mean, can you believe what a piece of garbage this thing is? Give me more money. Have fun if possible. It's amazing how much a good attitude can get you. And actually, it's better for your soul, right? Years ago, I worked with this guy that was so miserable that he just developed all these health problems. If you're negative all the time, I think you develop some health problems. Anyways, that's what I learned from that guy. But yeah, try to have fun. Try. Or start a YouTube channel where you say crazy things. Okay. So, these things have happened. At this point, I mean, with what I just told you, you should be able to call this broker and have a reasonable conversation and possibly book that load. Would you say?
Yeah.
What I do when I'm dispatch training in person is I literally will put the phone in front of you and make you call that guy. As we've realized, our problem is that you don't have a sandbox to look at and make calls, and we're going to try to figure out. We're going to be in touch. What I was thinking about is that, and thank goodness it's a 9:45 and we're almost at the end here, which is good, because I'm realizing like these sessions they're like 2 hours. So we're going to stop at the end of this. I'm almost done.
Yeah.
But what we're going to do is we're going to do part 3. Hopefully it's 3 of 3. And we're going to do that the last Tuesday of March, okay?
Yep.
And whether it's before then or after that time, we're going to not on camera. We're going to try and do a couple phone calls, even though you and I aren't anywhere near each other in a physicality. We're going to try and do a phone call together, and this is what I call being a wingman, right? This is Top Gun. I make you take first spot. I'm going to fly as your wingman, and you're going to make some phone calls, and you're going to stumble and fall, and you know how do you don't have a driver. How are you going to book a vehicle? It doesn't matter. You can still call and fact find. In fact, this goes for anybody out there that is calling on a car on behalf of their significant other and you don't feel like you know what you're doing. I've given you enough information to call the car. You don't have to book it, but just call and get information. Because if you don't call, you don't know, and that is now a mystery load. It's literally a question mark box on Super Mario Brothers. That's literally what it's worth. I could call this guy and he could say, oh, that one's already gone. I need to remove that from Central. He could say, oh my gosh, it's not ready for 2 weeks. He could say, I've got 7 of them. He could say anything. So if you don't call, you don't know, and then well, that's pointless. All right. So you have to pick up the phone. That's why I say up here, you have to be ready to make phone calls. And I knew a couple dispatchers in training. I would have to beg them to pick up the phone. I knew a guy, no kidding, I knew a guy who would sit at his desk. No matter how much information I gave him, he would just look at the phone. And he'd look at more loads and go up and go down and check his phone and click and map. Not picking up the phone. It made me crazy.
Right.
Pick up the phone. Okay. So if you can't pick up phones, you can't dispatch.
Right.
You cannot. You need to go do something else.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right. So, okay. No high fives with the driver until you get the dispatch, like I said.
Yep.
All right. And you could be in the middle of a high five, refresh, it's gone. Have fun. Hope that was a good high five. Estimate the pickup and delivery with as much cushion as possible. So in your final stages, use words like estimated and not words like exactly. It just so happens when a broker is dispatching, okay, they are dispatching through Central Dispatch. They go into their side of it, which is, okay, let me just try and show you this. We go to ship a vehicle, post a vehicle. See, this is the broker side. Ship a vehicle, post a vehicle. This is the carrier side. Find shipments, search vehicles, right? So here's the broker. Ship a vehicle, post vehicles, and they list the information, okay? And they got a lot of stuff here. So when they say they don't know things, really? What did you have when you posted the vehicle? Origin, destination, running, not running. It's right there. Vehicle, year, make, model, VIN. VIN is required. You don't get it oftentimes. Color, plate number, okay, pickup, delivery dates, price, payment. These are the fields that they're filling in, and when they hit post listing, it goes live. All right? So when you call it and say, I'll take it, then they go into their listed vehicles, which is my vehicles that they've listed, and they literally assign it to a carrier. And then when you, as the dispatcher, see that they've assigned it to you and it's in your dispatched, you got to go in and accept it. And I made a video about that, so I don't want to go into those buckets here.
Yeah.
Okay. So they can say, pick up exactly tomorrow. Pick up exactly today. I don't like that. I will actually call back and say, can you change exactly to estimated? Because the answer is yes, I can.
Yeah.
There's no reason to put exactly, but you will see it. And it shouldn't matter until there's a problem, and this is car hauling. There's always a problem. And I don't like the word exactly. I don't need that problem. So I had a guy say to me, never promise. This broker said this to me. I said, sir, I did not promise you. He said, you promised. I said, I don't use the word promise, but you promised. No, I didn't. But still, never promise, no guarantees, no promises, no easy peasy, no sweet old lady, okay? Do me a favor, $50 less. No. This is a poker table with lawyers.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, yeah, Nadia talks about $1 million deductible. So, you know, it's interesting. As I talk about next level dispatching, and this is why hours go into dispatch training, I'm actually going to put million liability. We're going to do some of those things, liability. We're going to do some of those things in part 3 that we don't get to. Like, I'm not going to talk about problem resolution. There's other areas I'm not going to talk about. So as you can see, this is going to be fully filled out before. That's why I need a few weeks. I need time, right?
Right, yeah.
But thank you, Nadia. That's wonderful. And anybody that has comments or ideas that I should put in part 3, please put it in the comments below. I appreciate it. If you haven't liked this video and you realize how late it is and how boring this is a great time to give a like, and I appreciate it. So you have to make sure you have that dispatch. I actually have lost sleep because I haven't got the dispatch. I've talked to the broker several times and I still don't have the stinking dispatch. Why? There's a problem. If you don't have the dispatch after talking a few times, there's a problem. You need to book a different car. If you feel like you're getting the runaround, oh no, it'll be ready, sweet old lady. No, I don't have it. I don't have the dispatch, no deal, and never close the search until you have verified the vehicles. Keep that search open. Think about plan B. Think about other cars you saw. Man, if you got to scrap the route because your anchor car has fallen through, do it.
Yeah.
never try to talk the driver into a crappy deal. Because he's the one with all the expenses and the ELD and the CarMax appointments and the Exactly's and all this crud. Forget it. We're not doing it. Don't do favors. And even if that means that you spent the whole day and you didn't make a dime, so be it. Welcome to dispatch.
Right.
It's like serving in the military.
Yeah.
Except you get a desk.
Right.
I should have hard helmets. You know, where you can keep your cigarettes and money. All right. Immediately after you get the dispatch, verify the dispatch info, check the money and terms, call the pickup location, verify that vehicle. I talked about this in part 1, and I'll probably talk about it in part 3, because there's nothing more important than verifying the dispatch. You have the dispatch sheet, you have the phone number, it has the address. Pick up the phone and call.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty of this sometimes because I'm too busy booking other cars. But if you wait until 6 o'clock at night, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Then you're hoping. And man, there's nothing worse than hoping. You need to ask about hours, about parking, about trees, mailboxes, rowdy neighbors, whatever. You map the route. You go to Google and you go to the dealership, right? Not Google. We go to Maps. And we're going to put in, okay, here's what I'm going to do. Let's say it's Topeka. All right. I'm going to Topeka. All right. Now, I would have the address. But let's say, okay, we're picking up at the hospital. There's a good one. Really? You're picking up a car at a hospital? Sure, you could. That counts as a business. I think I've picked up a car at a hospital, which makes no sense. But it was either somebody who works there or somehow a patient's car needed to be transported. Can't remember. So, all right. So my pickup location is a hospital. All right. So I'm looking at the map, and I'm going to click on satellite view. And it's 3 o'clock. So I need to make sure I talk to somebody before they leave work. And I'm looking at it. Man, that looks pretty busy. I'm not sure where the car hauler is going to park, but I sure am going to try and figure it out. So there's a public library. Hey, I like the size of that parking lot. I mean, Google Maps is incredible. Before Google Maps, man, what did you do? Oh, here's a big parking lot. What is that? Okay, so there's like somewhat of a college. Ooh, look at that parking lot. Okay. Well, you got those medians. Look for the medians. Where's the entrance? Ooh, can they pull in there? Probably can't. Probably can't pull into a library. Can they park in the hospital parking lot? Probably. So you look at the map, then you pick up the phone. And you call Billie Jean. And Billie Jean says, yep, I'll be at the hospital until 6, and then I'm getting my hair done. But you guys, your appointment is for 4:30. And, well... Oh, yeah, okay, so we're the car carrier, yeah, but we don't have a 4:30 appointment. Well, the broker said you have a 4:30 appointment. Okay, all right. Well, are you counting on a 4:30 appointment? I'm absolutely counting on a 4:30 appointment, and I expect you here at 4:29. Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, we're coming from Atlanta, and Topeka is a long way from Atlanta. I mean, I don't know, we could try to be there at 4:30. What happens if we're not there at 4:30? Well, I get off work at 6 and then I'm getting my hair done. All right. Well, what time do you get to work? Well, I get to work at 8 a.m. I've just opened the window. Okay. So really what we're talking about is, so you're there from 8 to like 5:30. Well, I guess so. Okay, great. Because that's the kind of time frame I need. And also, I'm looking at the parking lot. I'm trying to figure out where the car hauler is going to park. And she says, well, but the broker said this is door to door. Easy peasy. Well, okay, true. I mean, but we can only get so close. I mean, can the car hauler go ahead and draw out ridiculous scenarios? I didn't put this in there, but okay, well, can the car hauler park where the ambulances park? By the emergency room? Of course not. Well, then I guess it isn't door to door.
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting point. Okay, well, so how about across the lot? I see between Mulvane and Garfield there looks like some parking. Oh, yeah, well, I guess, yeah, that actually would be a good spot. Oh, that sounds pretty good. Or maybe, because I'm not going to promise that we're going to fit in there either, maybe we could park on Garfield. Looks like it. Do you think there's somewhere we could pull over on Garfield? Well, maybe, or maybe on Washburn. Or maybe, you know what? It's interesting. Look, I keep opening this window. And that is what it's all about. When you're verifying a vehicle, open the window. That's why this CarMax appointment stuff literally has me like, it kills me. No, that's not how it works. This is car hauling. And this is this is a pretty busy area. Because I know, since she works at a hospital, she can't meet me at a Home Depot. But I'm going to say it anyways. Hey, do you think you could meet us at a Home Depot? And after she falls out of her chair and she climbs back in her chair, she says, no, I certainly cannot do that.
Yep.
Okay, but this is what it takes. So when you're verifying a vehicle, it's all about getting creative, and you're making sure you understand what we're talking about, what the driver is looking at the next day, what it's really going to be like. Because he could lose 2 hours trying to park and get a car at this hospital. And if it's really just a crazy snafu, she is like door to door, broker said 4:30, and I'm thinking, you know what? This is a truck paying 50 cents a mile, and I saw other stuff. You know what? I'm calling the broker back. And I'm going to call the broker back and say, you know what? I don't know. I don't know if this is going to work. She's talking about a definite promise appointment and all this stuff. We're a car hauling company. We move cars. We don't deliver pizzas or make promises. That's just not. I don't want to put us in that position. So if you want to talk to whoever you need to talk to and let me know. But I feel like I need to look for other cars at this point.
Yeah.
Which is part of it. So, okay, now before you call it a day, and everybody starts high-fiving and whistle blows and all that great stuff and happy hump day, make sure, if you don't have the certificate of insurance, call the insurance company. If it's a business, like I just mentioned in that hospital, call them before they close. Business hours, businesses close at 5 o'clock. America is built on cubicle workers and companies, giant companies that make sure people spend 40 years collecting stuffed animals around a computer monitor. Those people leave at 5 o'clock, right? So you have to understand it, respect it, and make sure you call them before they go home. It's a crazy thing I just said, but you know what? A lot of it's true. And I've seen a lot of cubicles with a lot of stuffed animals. It's actually why I like to decorate my set so much.
Yeah.
If there was a broker packet brought up, make sure the broker packet's done. Or at least mention it to the driver. Update your spreadsheet. Remember how I talked about you need to keep track of your loads in a spreadsheet format?
Yeah.
Like this, right? Make sure your spreadsheet's up to date before you go home. That's actually how I finish my day a lot, is make sure I like every cell filled in. I mean, everything. And, as crazy as I am, I get pretty anal about the information.
Yeah.
Which is what I think that as a dispatcher, you should do that. That's a big part of it. Let's see here. Update the driver about information, and you're going to exchange information with the driver, which in part 3 I'm going to get more into getting information to your driver, okay? And then you want to talk about, you'll have drivers say, hey, can you text me the pickup order? Yeah, you could do that. You know the vehicles. You've been staring at it all day long. You know these vehicles like you know the donuts at the donut shop. If you spend all day in a donut shop, you know where the glazed donuts are, and the sprinkled donuts, and the chocolate donuts, and the jelly donuts. You know that. So if they say, should I eat the sprinkle before the jelly, you should be able to tell them. And you should be able to give them that information. That's part of managing logistics.
Yeah.
All right. I say no to a lot of things, but I'm not going to say no to that. All right. Start searching now for any next leg trips. Okay. Before you go home, if I know we're going to McAllen, I need to open a window. In fact, the moment I know we're going to McAllen, and by the way, I didn't close this window, I opened another one. How did I do that? I right-click, duplicate. Right-click, duplicate, create a new window. I go back, hit the back arrow.
Yeah.
And since I don't have my handy-dandy Central Dispatch backhaul button, still waiting for that, I'm going to put in, I'm not going to put in Texas, because Texas is huge, and I'm going to be in McAllen. So I'm now going to do a city search. Click city, put in McAllen, Texas, scroll down to it. Okay, and here comes the wonkiness. Click on it, hope it stays. I'm going to do 100 miles. 100's big, but I'm going to do it. And we came from Oklahoma in this example, so I assume we're going to go back to Oklahoma. And to make things easy, I'm going to put Oklahoma. This is where it's great to have a map always next to you, like I said in the beginning, right? Have a map. It's good to have a big map on the wall. I think I put that in here somewhere. But I have a map on the wall. My map, you can see it's up there. Okay? Have a map on the wall. And I'm going to put in Oklahoma. I hit Control on my keyboard. I press Control and I click on states. Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, Missouri. Let's do Arkansas because that's just east of Oklahoma. You always want to choose a few states in case we find something good. Let's make sure we give ourselves enough time because we're not even in McAllen yet. I'm going to put 7 days. I want to see good stuff if I can. I'm going to put minimum cents per vehicle. Pop quiz. What's the average cents per mile expected by the driver of a vehicle listed on Central Dispatch?
50.
Yay! All right.
Minimum, right?
50 minimum. I'm going to go below that minimum, and I'm going to put 0.4. Because if I do 0.5, I might miss something that's 0.48 that I can negotiate.
Right.
But I'm not going to do 0.2 because I don't book garbage.
Right.
I'm a dispatcher. I have respect for myself. Okay.
Yep.
All right. 0.4. I got my search. I got 1. Do you know why I got 1 result? I know why.
Nothing coming out of there?
Because I'm in McAllen.
There you go.
Yeah, that's why.
That.
So, in fact, that's a good. If you're not sure about a place, what's it like getting out? A driver will always ask you. So, what's it like getting out? What's the backhaul, Dave? No, everybody's always asked me that. What's the backhaul? Which is why I can't believe there's no backhaul button. But what's the backhaul? What's it like getting out? Well, it turns out getting out of McAllen sucks. It's not McAllen's fault. It's just that it's so remote. That's another.
So you almost got to get.
Yeah.
You almost got to get more money going in then, right?
There you go. That's why we point out the problems during negotiation. It's McAllen.
Yeah.
There's nothing coming out.
Right.
55 cents a car? That's crazy. No way. Unless we're going there to catch a flight because we're quitting car hauling, no. The answer is no.
Yeah.
Okay. So well, look what we learned. By taking that 2-minute exercise, look what we learned. So it pays to do these things. It's better to check a backhaul while you're booking or before you're booking. But for heaven's sakes, at least do it before you go home. Right? Because you might learn something, and now you really can't sleep because you just booked your driver to McAllen, and you didn't make enough money, and there's nothing coming out.
Right.
All right. So don't wait to search. If you see a good anchor load but the route looks thin, use multiple search techniques. What is that? All right. So when you're searching in this example, and I wrote this, I kind of picture cones. I talk about cones and flashlights. Okay. So a flashlight, you turn a flashlight on and the beam shines, and you can move the flashlight around. Or like a cone, when that flashlight, small at the front and the light widens during the beam. That is the cone I'm talking about. So like we just did a cone search when we searched out of McAllen. We searched McAllen to a large area. And I like searching in cone style because I know I have a specific place in mind. You can do a cone where you do Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas to McAllen. That would be a reverse cone. Or you could do McAllen to a bunch of states. And it's actually good to do both. So do overlapping cones where you've got point to region and region to point overlapping. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so when you do those things, and then the other thing you want to do is the multi. This is a feature that I think it's better for drivers than for dispatchers. They have the multi-city search. Now, I don't use it. Really, I don't use it much because multi-city search allows me to create a corridor along, let's say I'm going from Oklahoma City to McAllen. I can create a corridor of width between Oklahoma City and McAllen. So if there's a car going from Tulsa to Dallas, which is, yeah, technically en route, but it's really a connection load in the middle of my route, I don't really consider that. I don't need to see a car that goes from Denton to Waco. That's not, if I'm in Oklahoma City, I am not booking a car from Denton to Waco when I'm headed to McAllen. That doesn't make, yeah, it's en route, but what is it? It's just going to waste our time. I don't care about that car. I want cars that pick up near Oklahoma City and deliver near McAllen. But maybe in my search of Oklahoma City to Texas, I realize, you know what? Forget McAllen. There's a bunch of great stuff going to Houston. Let's do that. And then I see, oh, you know what? We could do Houston to McAllen. So we can get to McAllen by going to Houston. So maybe we took book 2 to Houston, 1 to McAllen, and 2 from Houston to McAllen. And that's where a connection load makes sense. But Denton to Waco, that's not a connection load. That's a waste of time. And that's why I don't really care about multi-city search, because I don't need to see all those little skipping rocks in between what I'd consider a real route. If we got to book that stuff to keep our trailer full, that's fine. I'll do that later. But that has nothing to do with searching for an anchor load.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see here. So I talked city to city, region to region, multi-city search, cones and flashlights. When you see loads you like, let's say I love this. This is fantastic. I'm going to email this to the driver. I'm going to take my arrow, I left click, I drag, I let go. I hover, I right click, I copy. I'm now ready to paste that into an email and email it to the driver. There's a lot of ways to screw this up. For some reason, like if you grab in the wrong spot or whatever, it comes out as these lines of information. It's really hard to read lines of information, which is why there are still so many broker emails that I don't know what to do with, because it's just lines, and I need some marketing. So there's some advertising component I need here. When you grab this load in the middle of the white space, left click, grab, right click. Even if I get all this how does it work nonsense, when I copy and paste that into an email, it's going to look like it does here on the page with the type, face, and spacing and everything else, so I can easily look at it and email your driver. throughout the day. Hey, here's this one. Here's this one. So email those loads. Email it to yourself. I actually do that a lot. I'll email loads to myself that I want the next morning to call right away, and I don't want to have to go through the repeat of the search. I just want to call it. Maybe I'm going to call it when I get home. Maybe I'm going to, whatever. Maybe it's a Saturday. And you can text your driver. You can text them the same information, but email the load searches, text them specific information. I talk about interstate only. I talked about connection loads. I didn't talk about interstate only. Interstate only. I don't like it. It doesn't do much for us. It's going to be hard for us to be a profitable car hauling company if I'm looking for... I talked to a driver today, and I told him, I'm not looking Houston to San Antonio to Austin, Austin to Dallas, Dallas to Fort Worth to, I'm not doing it. You will spend all day booking $40 cars, and nobody will make any money off that.
Right.
No, that's a different business. That's not what I do. I'll book from Dallas to Houston if we've got 2 from Oklahoma City to Houston, 1 from Oklahoma City to Dallas. Absolutely. Dallas to Houston is an obvious connection. But when you're booking, and luckily this is a good part of Central Dispatch, it tells you the zip code and you can click view route. And if it's on the opposite side of Dallas, no. If we're going to be over here and this thing, if we have to deliver in Fort Worth and pick up in Terrell, no. That might look like the same city, but in all reality, you think about jumping in your car and you drive to the north side of Concord and then drive 50 miles south of Concord. It doesn't feel like the same city at that point.
Right.
Right? So, and big cities are like that. It's a connection load if it delivers in Euless and picks up in Arlington or Grand Prairie. That's a good connection load. But if it delivers in Waxahachie and picks up in Plano, you are crazy. You have just made your driver extremely angry. He's going to tell you you're going to have to cancel that Plano load.
Yep.
Okay? So don't do that. Am I right, drivers? He's saying you're going to bang a few tree limbs to make the Buckies. Oh, some interesting... Oh, shoot, that's funny. I love the live chat. All right, and get creative. You have to get creative and look at the map. You heard the way I talked to the lady about at the hospital. You got to get creative.
Yeah.
Have fun, right? Have fun. What else? Let's see here. We're almost done. That's crazy. All right. Trip planning and forecasting, and then we're going to end this. So we've kind of eased into trip planning when I talked about McAllen. But real trip planning is you talk to your driver on a Friday. Actually, let's make it Thursday, because you got a good thing going here. And I talk to the driver on Thursday. I say, well, man, I've been looking ahead, because I told you, look ahead. I've been looking ahead into next week. Now, even though I see it, it doesn't mean I can book it. But it does look like this Oklahoma City, Texas thing is going to be good next week. So I'm thinking we're going to pick up 3 more in Oklahoma City on Monday. This is my plan, my goal, my estimate. We're going to pick up 3 in Oklahoma City on Monday. We should be in San Antonio end of the day Tuesday. And I'm thinking either return trip San Antonio, Austin pickups Wednesday morning, and deliver in Oklahoma City end of the day Friday. Now, actually, you can do this run a lot faster than that, but as you can see, I had a game plan. And then they're going to say, well, how much do you think that'll make? Well, based on Oklahoma City to San Antonio, you're going to look at the rates, and you're not going to inflate it. You're not going to make up numbers. Let's see, Oklahoma to Houston, 81 cents per mile, $3.95, so I don't know, maybe it's $300 a car, and since we're a 3-car hauler, we'll say, we'll shoot for $1,000, $1,200 each way. So our goal next week, 2,500 to 3,000. That's anyways. So you see, I did come up with a reasonable trip plan, even if it's just an estimate. Because the fact is, by the time Friday morning hits and all these, holiday specials start popping up and VIPs and all this craziness, we could be doing something totally different. We could be going to New Orleans and never even see Texas. It's just, and that's part of the understanding is anything's possible. That's why you're a dispatcher. You're sitting at a computer looking at loads because anything is possible, and the driver is too busy loading, unloading, or messing around with his ELD. That was for you, Dave. All right, cool. So that's trip planning and forecasting. I estimated a weekly gross, and I take core samples. Can I prove what I just said? Can I actually find loads that'll back up the forecast I just made? Because if I can't, it's time to come up with a new forecast.
Yeah.
Even though you can't have what you see, if you see nothing, that's not a good idea. Don't hope. And you can do triangles or rubber bands. That's the way I kind of look at it. Oklahoma City to New Orleans, New Orleans to San Antonio, San Antonio to Oklahoma City. There's a triangle. A rubber band is, let's say we're in Oklahoma City. A rubber band would be, we're going to go to Wichita, which will rubber band us back to Texas, and then ultimately we'll end up back in Oklahoma. So it's an interesting way to look at it. If you can't find something great where you are, see if you can book a car to get somewhere better. But that is, for sure, that is training part 3. Deadheading, etc. You don't want to do it, but it's something we have to talk about. You don't want a deadhead, but we will talk about that. And there's a money leg in here. Let's say we have a triangle. One of our legs, OKC to New Orleans, New Orleans, San Antonio, San Antonio, Oklahoma City. One of those legs is our money leg. Okay? One of them is not. Usually going home, and that's why I say going home. Where did I put it here? Oh, I didn't put it in there. Going home can sometimes be the hardest part of the trip because you don't have any options.
Right.
If the driver lives in Oklahoma, he's got to go back to Oklahoma, and there may not be a lot of great stuff going there. So what you want to try to do is open a window. If you know you're going to do this triangle, you want to open a window, San Antonio to Oklahoma, and see if that's a viable route. And that's where you take a core sample. See if are there actually loads going from San Antonio to Oklahoma. Because if not, we don't want to finish our trip that way.
Yeah.
So you look for patterns, and then you might see regular brokers on a route. And you want to call them, check in with them. This is where you asked me, do dealerships call direct? Not necessarily. But if we end up doing this triangle, and what you want to do is you want to try and develop a regular route, because your driver's going to know the truck stops and the way stations and this and that's very helpful. So if you develop a regular route, you want to call that dealer again. Hey, we're going to go to New Orleans again. You guys have anything going there?
Yep.
Sure. Or maybe it's not the dealership, but maybe it's the broker, right? It could be and that's in fact what we're probably talking about. It's the broker you're going to check in with. So route brokers, and then you check the weather. Don't forget to check the weather, especially right from like October to March. Try to check the weather. Talk to your driver about the weather, and talk to your driver about their personal schedule. Are you going out of town? Do you have an anniversary? I mean, is your kid in the school play? I don't know what it is, but before I do all this great work and I find out that you got to be home Wednesday for your anniversary, let's make sure we know that before we go into next week.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay. So I haven't been reading the chat. I don't know if anybody has a specific question that I could even start to answer. Mike, what do you have to say at 11:30 your time?
No, everything's great, yeah. I'll have to go back and watch the video. So I'm taking in a lot of good information, as always. Yeah. It's a lot to absorb.
It is, isn't it? And that's why,
yeah.
Like, I had someone just ask me the other day if I could train them how to be a dispatcher, and I do. I'm starting to get asked. I'm getting two things a lot now. I'm getting asked, can you train me dispatching, and can you be my dispatcher? And I love both questions. And I did not know that making this channel would bring me that many questions. It's great. It really is great. And that's why I realized making these videos would really help. And what I ultimately said to her was, I want to tell you some of these things, and then I want you to go watch video part 1.
Right.
Because there is so much information, but just like you create a regular route, you will get into a groove of knowing this stuff and knowing how to negotiate, knowing what's expected at a different location, knowing what a broker is looking for, knowing what a good load is, knowing how to fill the trailer. You know, you've got a 3-car wedge and you've got the first 2 booked. You definitely know what's left in that 3rd spot, and you know how to figure out what you can't fit. It's when you get into a 5-car. Let's say you've got a 5-car, and I'm going to do a 5-car, the 5-car Mini. You got a 5-car Mini, and you need to understand that there's only so much space in this belly. That's why I want great paying used cars, because if I can fill the belly spot, I can go from there and I can go hog wild and grab dollar bills from the sky. But if I book 2 large trucks as my anchor, oh man, I'm working backwards. I've just tied one hand behind my back, because I mean I've gambled our whole route on these trucks, and I gotta find stuff to fit in the little. And if the only thing left is like a little MG paying 20 cents a mile, and the right front tire is laying in the backyard, oh my God, what have I done? You know, so that's that's a big part of it. So
a pickup truck on top of that trailer isn't over height?
Great question. Great question. And you know who you ask? The driver.
Yeah.
I mean, you're expected to know some things, but I'll just call the driver. Hey, have you ever loaded a 3500 on the top? And he's going to say no. Some drivers, I've talked to some drivers, and some drivers will load the thing to the gills. Maybe too much. I don't know. But it's their call. It's their business. As you can see in this picture, like this guy chose, right? He's got vet, 4 vets. That's a great load. However, oh man, that's another good one for dispatcher training part 3, ground clearance. Oh man.
Yeah.
Ground clearance, especially Corvettes. And in fact, Corvettes tend to be long and pointy, and ground clearance, man, if it's under 6 inches, we need to know.
Yeah.
Because there are some trailers you just can't load that car if it's under 6 inches. Look at this guy. Here you go. He's got 4 of those like Google vans on his Mini 5. That's pretty good, and they have ladder racks. That's a ballsy move, actually. He might have weight concerns. Here's a guy. This guy put what? He's got like an Excursion on, but I think he's got the curves down. That's interesting. That's an Infinity trailer. So that's fun. You can look at pictures of trailers and get ideas. And a lot of these they get backed on or whatever. But
almost got to study about trailers, huh?
Well, you do, and that's why actually, as you know, in part 1, I put that very early on, is to to get an understanding of the dispatching in the industry is to understand that we are talking about car hauling trailers, dualies, semis, freightliners, and then different types of cars from SUVs and trucks.
Yep.
Yeah. So that really, those are some serious basics right there.
Yep.
Woo! All right. Well, I'll tell you what, Mike. I'm cashing my chips in. We are at 2.5 hours. I knew this would be a long show. The actual dispatch training is about 2 hours long, so I will touch base with you. Let's do this. It's Tuesday. I'll be in touch with you soon. How about I leave it at that?
Okay, great. Yeah.
Thank you for your time tonight. I really appreciate it, and I applaud your stamina for sticking around.
Absolutely. Yeah, you do awesome.
Oh.
Thanks, and talk to you soon.
Thanks, man. All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Jake.
All right, bye. Okay, and so, man, there's so much to it. It's amazing. And Paul, you know what's cool, Paul, is you sent me that picture. I don't know. I think you had me next to your Garmin in the truck when you were taking your break or wherever you were watching that. I thought that was really cool. You know, this episode and many of these shows are actually for dispatchers, but I think that when I talk about this stuff, I think it helps. I think it helps the whole ecosystem. I really do. If you were at a dealership and you watch this show, you could come to understand the so many parameters that it takes into the profitability of being a car hauler, that you'd understand that, man, some wiggle room on the carrier rate would be helpful. I think that applies to brokers as well, residential customers, to see the problems that carriers go through and the parameters of what it takes to get a full load. It's not a simple process. It's not, this is nothing like freight. I'm not saying freight is easy. It can't be, because, I know there's really hard-working dispatchers in freight, and I hope to learn more about freight dispatching in the coming days. But the minutia of what it takes to load a car hauler and stay profitable when you're up against so many parameters and things that can go wrong, it's mind-boggling. So Paul says it's fun. It's a war out there. Oh man. So I really want to thank you guys for sticking around. I know that I'm giving out the information. I've given away a lot of secrets here tonight. I'm okay with that. I'd like to think that at some point I can transition out of dispatching too, but I am currently a working dispatcher, and that's actually why I'm doing it now, because being a working dispatcher is the best time to really talk about training and what it takes to dispatch. And when there is a robot that can replace dispatchers, I can't wait to meet that robot. I can't wait to see what's under the hood of the mathematical formula that can get through all this stuff. And I'm going to say this as a parting note on the autonomous vehicles. I wonder if drivers do less driving, and I think that's where we're headed. I think ELDs are kind of like the step stool towards autonomous vehicles, which is why there's no way ELD's not happening. No matter how many lawyers you throw at it, it's happening. ELD's happening. Is that as you get to autonomous vehicles, I think drivers are going to have to become part dispatcher. I think driver and dispatcher will fuse, because you won't be doing the driving. I think you'll be doing the loading and the unloading, and then during the drive, you're going to be doing the logistics of the dispatching. That's what I think. And so I think that this information actually, while I call it dispatcher training now, will in the future be driver dispatcher training, which will probably have a new job title. I don't know what that's called. Robot assistant? I don't know. But, all right. Robot assistant. So there I said it. We will all be robot assistants, and that will be a really interesting time. So it's 2018 now, and we can still have some fun with it. So let's do that. And so I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I thank you for your comments, your emails. I've talked to many of you on the phone. I like doing that. If this show helps you, please do consider giving a super chat. You can click the $sign. You can enter a credit card amount. Any donations go to the show. I hate to talk about it like that, but I'm still building the channel, and I don't have all those solid, sweet gold bar deals that I will in the future as a robot assistant. So I appreciate the likes, the subscriptions, and don't forget to click the notification bell to never miss a video. And check out my other videos, and I'm going to keep doing it. It's Tuesday Night Live. I'm not going to be doing it this late every time, but I want to get through the dispatching series. Next week is filing on a broker bond. That is going to be awesome. That should not take, I don't know, maybe an hour, and we're going to have an interview about filing on a broker bond, so you're not going to want to miss that. Okay, I'm shutting it down. I'm going to crank up the car hauler. Oh, by the way, I want to thank Robert Jenkins Jr. That's where I got this image on Facebook. This is Robert Jenkins Jr. rigged. This is his rig. And I wonder, are these the Echo Sports that we're just looking at coming out of the port? I think this is the Echo Sport. Yeah, that is an interesting little robot assistant. Okay, I worked it in. All right. Okay, guys, I am out of here. I'm going to crank up the car hauler. I want to thank you for your service and taking care of the customer. Be safe out there. Watch out for the storm in the Northeast. And I will see you guys soon. I'll see you next Tuesday at 8 o'clock. All right, take care. Here comes the car hauler. Peace.